case, but that was like a difference of 5%, and that was a few months ago. I did not do benchmarks in this case. I actually forgot that I had turned opcache to not look at file modified times. So I was wondering, okay, my code's changing here, why isn't it doing the thing over there? And then I turned that on, okay, I fixed that, but now the next time I actually want to benchmark that thing, I have to turn the track on. But since I have both the Slim 2 and Slim 3 versions of the Raphple app, it'd be pretty easy to benchmark those. And if somebody wants to fork that repo and redo it in Lumen, it's very little code, and you could actually get a meaningful benchmark that isn't just spitting out a static string of text that you shouldn't be actually running PHP doing, right? Okay.
It's like Bustrad was asking about the routes, how they changed.
So instead of having colon name, for example, in /hello/:name, you put curly brackets around it, and you can do some fun regular expression-ish things, but I think that you can do that in Slim 2 as well.
I think that was it for the questions. It said,
How do you move the slides with your phone?
So the software that I'm using for that, if you go to slides.com or slid.es, if you want to save every single character, that is what I was using. And basically you log in, and then on your list of slide decks, you can go into a presenter mode, and then if you just go to the link for the slide deck on any computer and append /live to it, then those computers are now synced up to whatever you're doing in presenter mode.
Cool.
So that, for example, I can go back and forth on my phone with speaker notes or something like that.
WebSockets
That's pretty cool.
or something probably. So the configuration part in Slim 3 is pretty much the same as in Slim 2, like where you have to, add the logger and add the all the stuff inside the config and put it inside the app.
So it actually brings up a pretty good point. The way that Slim 3, the default way of constructing a Slim 3 application, so the equivalent would be calling new Slim on Slim 2, whereas now it's Slim app. The expected way of doing that in Slim 3 is you pass in the entire dependency injection container, whereas on Slim 2, you would pass in an array of configuration stuff. You can still do that in Slim 3. It's just kind of the older way of doing things. In the case of, for example, a logger, what you would do there is you first say, okay, new Slim container, and then on that container, you container bracket logger equals, and
New
then
logger.
you specify a callable that returns your logger.
Okay.
Standard lazy loading stuff. And then at that point, when you need to use the logger, then your dependency injection container will go ahead and resolve that dependency and get it back out to you.
Yeah, but if it's just an array, then it seems like you could do multiple of those together, and then you're back at the same place you are with Slim 2, right? Or
So
maybe I'm not visualizing what you're saying.
The container, let me go back to that slide. So this MyService, for example, that's not actually adding to a real life array.
Oh, okay.
That's using your offset set array access method to throw it into the underlying data structure. So that's why you provide a callable that returns the thing that you want the service to be, rather than the actual thing itself,
Okay.
because that way you can actually get lazy loading and you're not instantiating all the things every time you have a web request.
Got it. So another question I had was, Josh, is this, I don't know what his background is, but is he like working on it full time? Is it a side project? Like how?
It's very much a side project, and one of the reasons that he works full time at new media campaigns. It's not like Laravel where you have somebody working full time on this. Though to be fair, I'm pretty sure that Raphple is not working full time on Littman. That said, as part of the transition towards Slim 3, the Slim repo moved from Code Guy, which is Josh's personal repo, over to Slim PHP, which is a GitHub organization. So now there are multiple people who have access to that organization. So if Josh has issues throwing time at this,
Yeah.
then people can pick up where we left off. And in fact, lately, there have been a lot of commits coming from Rob Allen, aka Acrobat, hence the bevy of links from him on the resources slide. And he's been doing a fair number of improvements to Slim 3. And if the name sounds slightly familiar from other circles, he actually does a lot of work on ZF.
Sorry, I had one more. Then the rest of you better start asking questions. So how hard is it to add like user auth, something basic or like OAuth stuff? And I guess it's a two-parter. I just thought of a different question that's not really.
Go ahead.
So go ahead.
Is it actually a two-parter or not?
It's not a two-parter.
Okay.
Answer that one. I got another one.
So the way you would implement authentication in this case is you set up a middleware for that particular piece. The thing with a request in this case is a request can have attributes. Those attributes can be something such as the user or a number of other parameters, whether the user is authenticated, whatever roles they have, anything like that. So you set up an authentication middleware, which is itself a closure, or you can specify it as a full-on service class, which you then throw into your dependency injection container and then reference that wherever you want to call the middleware from. And that middleware then has access to the request, the response, and it's also, if it's a closure, it's bound to the app. If it's not, then you just use your standard dependency injection constructor magic to get the dependencies you need. But you attach that middleware to whatever routes you need authenticated.
And then like add it as the first thing like you did.
Yeah, you either add it there or you can add it globally. Either way, you would wrap your application routes in an authentication middleware or what have you.
Okay, so last question I guess is like if you had to start a new project or you had something small that would be a good match for this, would you go with 2 or try to muscle through 3 and deal with the new beta stuff?
Well, as noted here, I had the choice to build that microservice in whatever I wanted, and I chose Slim 3 back 3 months ago when it wasn't even an alpha. And today, beta 1 is out. I pulled Raphple from Slim 2 to Slim 3, and I think that had a positive impact on the quality of the code they're in. So I would absolutely say if you had to build something right now, Slim 2 will continue to be maintained, my guess is, but the ability for Slim 3 to take PSR 7 compliant middlewares from anywhere and use them, whether they're, say, built for Zend, Diactros, Diactros is a PSR 7 implementation, so that would apply either Diactros or Strategility, formerly known as Fly HTTP and Fly, the name escapes me right now. But those, if it's a PSR 7 compliant middleware, then you can plop it down in Slim 3 and it will work. You can't do that with Slim 2. So I would absolutely say right now, it's, if you're choosing between the two, then absolutely go with Slim 3. Even right now, it's not going to take all that much effort to deal with the beta-e-ness of it, particularly since the Slim IRC room is well populated, and now that you know that I actually have worked with this stuff, you can always
bug
talk
you
about it.
All right, thanks.
Good.
All right, so I've been looking this up because I was kind of freaked out. I thought maybe I'm just dumb at PHP or something. But that closure in there, the fact that it has a this that is referencing the Slim app class object.
Yep.
I thought, I've never seen that before. That doesn't sound quite right. They actually inject that. So what they're doing is they're using closure bind to, which is new in PHP 5.4, to change its scope so that this references the object Slim app. So the question is, that's magic. That's like dark voodoo magic. Does your IDE have any idea what's going on?
No.
No, okay. It doesn't know that it's happening, it doesn't know...
Unfortunately, it does not know that it's happening. And that's something that my guess is that you could code for that in the IDE itself to handle that, just like you handle Symphony's Dark Voodoo Magic. But it's definitely something that, even as I was working with it today, it's like, okay, I don't get autocomplete on referencing this arrow anything within any of these route closures, which is another argument, of course, in favor of keeping those closures small and putting your actual application logic somewhere else, or using dependency injection on your controllers or actions themselves, which, again, you can do. Instead of specifying closures left, right, and center, you can say, no, map this to something I already have in my DI container, and Slim will work with that. And if you feel incredibly uncomfortable with having this that your IDE can't follow, then you've probably got enough code in those actions that you want to put them in classes anyway.
Yeah. So I noticed it only does that if it's a closure. So it'll only goof with it if it's one of these anonymous functions, but it won't goof with an object.
Right.
If you pass it,
yeah, because the object has its own this.
Yeah, it's got its own scope, and so okay.
And the other point that is embedded in within what you just said is, yeah, Slim 3 is 5.4 plus. 5.4 is end of life anyway at this point, so that shouldn't be an issue. But I figure I'd bring it up anyway because Slim 2 is 5.3 and above.
The fact that you weren't able to send cookies back to the client, does that have anything to do with PSR 7, or is there something broken?
It's not that something is broken. It's that if I use set cookie, then I could have just manhandled the thing into doing it. But to follow the whole PSR 7 request and response and passing back the response and returning it, what I had to do was say, all right, make my own little set cookie-ish call, which, given a cookie name and then the value, then create this header line and inject that into the response. It's not difficult, it's just it's something that is currently not included in Slim. There's a package that was recommended today by Bo Simonson, aka DFlyDev, that I believe it's called Fig Cookies, that interoperates with the PSR7 response format that will do that formatting for you. But it's not that something is broken in the Slim implementation. It's just that right now that doesn't exist, even though not too terribly long ago that was in the Slim HTTP response class. There was actually a with cookie method on that you could just pass in, here's my cookie key, here's my cookie value, and hand it over. But of course that was a Slim specific extension to the response, which means that if, for example, and this is actually a very real potential thing, if somebody sent you some other PSR7 compliant response in some nowhere somewhere, and it didn't have that, then your application would suddenly 500 and say, I have this method on this object and I have no idea what to do with it. So there was a fair amount when I brought that up in IRC today, a fair amount of, yeah, well, the PSR7 kind of screwed up on this going around.
Blake's got a problem with PSR7.
Actually, yeah, I don't know, but do you know, it's not really necessarily Slim related, but do you know why request objects are not mutable?
It's both requests and responses are immutable, partially, I think, because that reduces the whole spooky action at a distance of my request that I had right here just randomly changed for some reason and I have no idea why. That removes that aspect and provides a pure path through the code. And you're not the only person who doesn't buy that implicitly, but I, to be honest, haven't read through the entire pages and pages of Fig arguing about that, so I'm in no position to recap that.
It seems like we should be able to build a mutable layer on top of it and then just have two copies of the request or something.
PSR7 actually says thou shalt not
Do that.
as-
I don't like those kind of rules.
It does specifically, it says they, you must be immutable. Yeah, this must be immutable. What do we use PSR7 for? No, I mean, like, legit question, is the idea just that you can interchange code with predictable format? Is that the idea?
Yeah, just like the PSR3 logger interface,
Sure.
it's for an HTTP message that isn't a hodgepodge of random super globals and things that you pull from $_server, and you actually have a request object and a response object that makes sense. And they had to decide on either immutable or mutable, and it went back and forth.
So the idea is, yeah, you can drop something that manipulates the request and response from one framework that you implements PSR7 into another framework that implements it. That's the whole idea?
Yeah.
But theoretically, one could extend it
Oh, yeah.
if they wanted to.
Yeah.
It
Oh, I
would
mean,
just
heck, Slim.
reduce the benefit of.
Slim, for example, has a response with redirect method to it, and that sets your location header and sets your HTTP status code. And convenience methods like that are already present in the Slim response class. So there's nothing preventing you from adding convenience methods to it. You just, if you're type hinting against the interface, you cannot rely on those being there. But I mean, that's kind of the same thing of if you work with datetime or datetime immutable and you type hint against the datetime interface, all of a sudden it's like, I can't do all the things. And those methods are there, you just can't rely on them. You can convert from one format to another, you can do instant subchecks, etc.
I have another question.
Go ahead.
I want to grill you, Ian.
Okay.
Um,
Hold on, let me
Are you ready for this?
grab a shake. So
Yeah,
while
grab a
you're-
shake. Yeah, come on.
While you are asking your question,
You can eat the. That's me. I can't
Not-
have a shake.
no, it's, hey, you're grilling me.
Whatever. All right. The shake's not grilled. It's fried. All right. So, you ready? Okay. So one big thing I'm noticing is the way that middleware is instantiated. The way that you call middleware differs pretty greatly between Slim 2 and Slim 3.
Yes.
And it looks like with Slim 3, you register all your middleware, and it just sort of stacks in the order in which it was registered into the onion layer of how the request is handled.
Yep.
But with Slim 2, you could pick and choose with each route which piece of middleware was invoked and which one wasn't.
You can still do that.
How?
So the Slim 3 middleware spec is that dash or that arrow add method is part of a trait, and that trait applies to both a route and to the app overall. So what you can do is say, and that's how you can do authentication on some routes and not others. So you do app get route callable arrow add, and then you throw your middleware in there.
Okay.
You can do that as well as, of course, adding the middleware to the global
Well, this is
context of the
2.0.
application.
Yeah, you're looking at it. Yeah, that's yeah, 2.0.
No, this is 3.
Oh, this is 3 you're looking at.
This is the
oh,
3
Oh,
document.
my bad. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, and then you add, okay. All right.
Yeah.
So it does keep that style of Slim
Yes.
2's
Yeah.
droppable function in there for authentication or for, caching. or whatever. Okay.
So we're gonna talk about traits in September, I think.
We're going to talk about traits? Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Next month is
It's
Josh
just
talking.
compiler assisted copy and paste.
What?
Yeah. It's just compiler assisted copy and paste with a couple of pieces of
Which is
syntax
true.
sugar on it.
Oh, yeah, I've worked with traits.
What's next month?
Next month is Josh talking about PHP 7.
Cool.
PHP
I
Storm
need to get a
PHP 7
description.
functions.
From him, but yeah, I haven't got it posted yet. But
All right, further questions from the shadow?
Yeah, I just had a quick question I want to throw out just for general curiosity. Has anyone here ever heard of or used the Klein router?
heard of it? Yeah. Simple. It's like a front controller,
Yeah.
like simple router.
Thank you.
Sorry.
The response was overwhelming.
Oh yeah.
I can talk to you anytime. Already did.
Maybe
Goes to
somebody else has
everybody.
used it on a
The
project.
response was also
Yeah.
immutable.